Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Fourum.
I'm Alfredo.
Brian.
Bemnet.
Micky.
So last week, Michelle had lost, so Bemnet picked up the topic. So now it's only fair for Micky to pick out today's topic.
Yay!
She cheated, let me tell you guys.
I did not cheat.
If you watch that video, you could tell she cheated.
How do you cheat at Paper Rock Scissors?
I don't know.
She's a mind reader.
She knew what I was going to pick.
I'm a mind reader.
I want to pick... Let's do this one. No, it's another green one.
What's wrong with green?
I don't want green. Let's do this one.
As long as you pick something fun.
Okay. Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Should fathers be praised for taking care of their children?
Like, are you talking about the? This is phrased weird.
So this is one of those topics where it's, you know how mothers, when they have children or whatever, they're expected to take care of them, and it's not like you're not praised for it. And when fathers go ahead and they they take care of their children or whatever by themselves, they're praised because
Oh, you're such a good dad.
yes, just like that. That's
So they do. So basically, getting praised for doing the bare minimum.
exactly.
Yes.
So in other words,
All right. Well, let's discuss, shall we? Okay.
Yes and no. Like, I want to say yes because bare minimum, I hope you're taking care of your kid. I hope you're giving them everything they need. Like, in all honesty. So I'm like, yeah, give yourself like a pat on the back for that. And, every now and then if you need help, if you just need like people to just kind of like, I guess tell you you're doing a good job, yeah, go for it. But on a daily basis and to kind of like go overboard and just be like, oh my God, you're the best father ever. Like, kind of take it as you just, you gave this kid everything they needed, everything they wanted plus more. I'm like, no, you're taking care of your kid, which is what's expected. So on a everyday basis, just kind of be like, all right, yeah, nice job. But
I don't know. I don't agree. First of all, shout out to single mothers, single fathers out there. You guys are fucking killing it. My mom was a single mother, so I know what she went through. I do believe that both should be praised equally. I think that's where the issue lies here. 9 times, not 9, maybe like, I don't know, like 7 times out of 10, the father dips. A woman is pregnant, the father dips, and now she's kind of screwed raising a kid on her own. To me, in my perspective, that's a strong woman. Raising a kid is not easy. Like, we had this discussion in our previous topic, how we discussed that raising a kid was a lot of work. It is a lot of work, especially bringing a kid into the world now, where there's so much going on. It's just not ideal. At least in my opinion, to bring a kid. But sometimes shit happens. I think that a dad that does the bare minimum, I don't have a problem with him getting praised, because I'm like, it's already, it's kind of sad, but it's already like a positive note that he's in the child's life, when a lot of men, like I said, they dip. But I also think it should go both ways. Like, some people say, oh, well, that's the mom. She should just take care of the kid. Like, moms don't get praised enough, I think. I think that they're just expected to do it. And I think that's where the problem lies, is that the men, when they step up, that's when the praise comes, because the women are just expected to basically do it from the jump. I think, in my opinion, that a father raising a daughter or a son on his own, that's commendable, but it's the same way if a woman was doing it. It's an equal thing. It's hard. Like, my mom, when she was raising me, I'm a boy. She gave me whatever she could, but growing up without a father was kind of hard for me, because I was a growing man. I had questions that she couldn't answer. I had questions that I had to figure out on my own as the oldest, because that was another thing that sucked. I was the oldest. So imagine like the script flips, and I'm a girl being raised by a man, which I'm sure Micky can tell you that how hard that was, because as a growing woman, there's things that she couldn't really tell him, or that he couldn't really understand, because this is where the mother would really come into play, or in my case, the father. But I think it's commendable that her dad raised her in his own way. He raised her. He stayed on her side, and he gave her what she needed. It might not have been like the best in her opinion, or whatever, or however she feels that way, but he stayed. So for people to praise this man, or to praise my mom, I think it's great, but it has to go both ways. I think it's hypocritical when you praise a man that's doing the same thing as a woman, but the woman, you're like, whatever, that's the mother, it's expected. But you like basically like kiss the man's feet for doing the same thing.
I agree with most of what you said. I do agree that parents, I think regardless, parents should be praised for having to take care of their child, because raising a child, especially from infancy, is hard. It's hard. You know, like a lot of sleepless nights, and when they're growing up, before they're able to speak, they cry, and you don't know why they're crying. You don't know whether it's they're hungry, they're just plain uncomfortable, or they made a mess in their diapers or whatever. So it's hard just to be a parent. So I think both the mother and the father should be praised. I think they should be praised for taking care of their kid. And yes, some people can see it as the bare minimum, but it is a difficult task. That's why I probably won't ever do it. But I think the only thing that I can't really agree with you was not really on topic, but it's about the coming or growing up without a certain parental figure. It's definitely single moms and single dads should absolutely be praised, but you can still kind of grow up, especially if your parents really try to do better for you, I guess would be a weird way of me saying it. But if you're a single mom and you have a boy, you can definitely talk to friends. You could definitely talk to other people. You can try to figure out how to raise your boy in the best way possible without a father. You know, I think this is something that comes into play a lot when people try to debate whether gay parents should have like children of the opposite, like two dads having a baby girl or two moms having a baby boy. Like, it's absolutely something that can be done, and it's something that is done. It's great. But definitely, if they put it together, if they don't know certain things about their child, they'll definitely look into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That I do agree.
Yeah, continuing the topic with Freddy, I mean, I feel like nowadays it's a lot easier to find information on like how to, if two, gay men, adopt as an example, two gay men adopt like this young little girl or this baby. Like, I feel like now it's a lot easier to just like, Google and, figure out information or even just like ask people that they know. And like, it's more like, I feel like you can with more confidence go up there and do it. I feel like back in the day, like, like let's talk, I don't know.
In the 1900s.
Stop. like the 90s or the 80s or even like, between the 80s and the 90s. Like,
yeah, what I said, the late 1900s. The late 1900s.
Sorry, I thought you meant 1900s and I was like, what?
Yeah, 1900s. 1990.
No, I thought you meant like 1901. Like 1901. I was like,
You should have just said the 90s.
No, the late 1900s.
Yeah, he did say late 90s. I wasn't paying attention.
The late 1900s.
See, I wasn't paying attention. No, but yes. Yeah, just like that. Like, I'm sure it was harder back then. You know, it was a lot harder to, just be able to go up to someone and be like, hey, I have a little girl. Like, I don't know.
What do I do with this?
Definitely. Yes.
So I felt like it was harder. Like, I feel like nowadays it's a lot easier. So, I mean, that's just kind of my opinion. I don't know. I mean, I feel as if they both should be praised, so I agree completely. Mm-hmm. In my personal experience, yes, I would have loved to have like a mother figure, and I would have loved to have like, to talk about like my issues growing up, being so young and then kind of being left by myself. It was hard, and anyone can tell you, like anyone that has lost like their, their parental, either their mother or their father, like no matter which one they lose, it's still really hard.
There's always something missing.
Yeah. So, even if like, let's say I had lost my dad instead of my mom, like it would have been.
You wouldn't be missing that father figure.
Yeah. It's still like, I feel like you're still losing something.
Yeah.
So I think either way, I feel as if they both should be praised. And I feel like it coming from me, I think like my dad was praised more because he's a man. So they're like, oh, you know, he worked his butt off to make sure his little girl is good and she's alive and breathing and well and all this other stuff. And it's like, he kind of did the bare minimum.
Yeah. I mean,
I need you to like not praise him so much, because then he gets a big head, like a big ego. And I'm just like, don't do that to him. Because don't get me wrong. Like, I love him, and you know, I'm forever grateful.
And
like,
you were a handful growing up.
I was not, but I'm forever grateful. But also, don't give him that big ego. I feel like I feel like if you want to give him that big ego, I mean, you're gonna give it to him regardless. But I prefer you don't. You know.
I mean, it just sucks because it's kind of like the idea of how much praise is too much praise.
Yeah, I guess it's that.
So it's just you know, just hey, you know, just hey, how's your little girl? How's your little boy? You know, how's your little one? How's the you know, little toddler? How's the whatever? Yeah. And so just, you know, if they do something good, it's all like, hey, you know, you're doing a bang up job, or
yeah, good for you. You know,
good for you. Just, you know. But just the idea of just being there, I don't know if it should be. It's like, oh, you exist in this child's life. Good job. You know, that might be a little off, but just, you know, if I guess just take care of your kids.
Yeah. It's a very touchy subject. Because I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a lot of parents probably, or people that have kids come for us in the comments because they don't probably agree with what we're saying. Granted, let it be known that not any one of us, we don't have kids. We don't. I'm speaking as my experience of being a child and what I hope would be me as a parent in the future. But for those of you that are going to come to us and be like, well, you don't have kids, so you don't understand. Because I'm expecting those comments already. Mm-hmm. You are right. You are absolutely right. Because they say that you don't know what it's like until you have a child. So we don't. So yes, I will give you that. We don't have children, so we don't know what that's like. I can only speak as to what I've seen with people with kids, and of course my own experience growing up. Mm-hmm. I do believe also that praise comes hand in hand with tragedy, and that's where a lot of this praise comes from. You know, like unfortunately in Alfredo and Micky's case, their dad got praised because their mom passed away, and when they were still young. So the fact that he was working his butt off, raising in his own way his kids, of course he was going to get praised because he just went through a horrible tragedy. He lost his wife. Same thing with people that get abandoned. Like my mom, she got abandoned by my father, but that's where the praise came from, because like, oh my God, you're so strong. He left you with a baby, and you're hustling. You're making sure that your baby's taken care of. Like, that's awesome. I do think that's why I think that it goes hand in hand. It's like, if you went through something that really fucked up, in society's eyes, you're gonna be like a hero because you're coming out of it. You're trying to do the best you can to come on top.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I never really thought about that. I guess like the idea of a single parent was always kind of there, but I never really. Most of the time, it's because either of abandonment or death or
many reasons. There's many reasons.
When you said it comes from a tragedy, I'm like, wait, I want to see where this is.
Yeah, I saw it from the corner. I'm like, oh no.
I'm like, what do you mean?
No, Alfredo's gonna say something.
No, but because I didn't get it, I didn't understand it. It sounded so weird the way you said it. But that actually makes a lot of sense.
Well, yeah, that's how it is. But that's how society works. Like, have you guys noticed that when something bad happens to someone, you are low key rooting for them to come out on top? It's just natural. Like, even if it's someone you don't really like, I'm like, okay, well, it sucks, but I mean, at least they're doing better, or they're getting at it, or they're getting through it.
Yeah.
But you get praised a lot. Like, people that are battling like a disease, because they're battling that disease, that's where the praise comes from. Like, oh my God, you're so strong. You're battling cancer. I'm rooting for you. Mm-hmm. So like I said, I don't get mad when a father gets praised. My only issue is when he gets praised and the woman that's doing the exact same thing is not. Mm-hmm. I also think that people praise you without knowing you personally. You can see from the outside and what you think is a good father, but you don't know what he's like inside of the house with his kids, you know, behind closed doors, or a mom for that matter. So you working your butt off so your kid has roof, clothes, and whatever, that's great. But there's also the emotional aspect of it where sometimes a kid just wants love or attention. And I get it. There's certain times when a parent is too busy or too tired that in the parent's eyes are like, well, my kid is fine financially, so that's all that matters. That's all that matters. And financial, yes, that's a big part of it, but also the kid needs love and it needs attention. And I was lucky to get both from my mother. I was lucky to get raised properly. And when I say properly, I mean I was actually reprimanded for when I was not a good kid. So for me to tell her, oh, I was never loved by you, she would have every right to smack me because that's a lie. But I have seen people that don't have parents, because sometimes you don't have both of your parents. You're living with aunts, you're living with uncles, you're living with grandparents, and while they are supporting you financially, you are missing that connection. You are missing that emotional stability that sometimes not a lot of people can have.
Yeah, but sometimes they get it even better through other guardians.
Yes,
like sometimes some people can be taken care of by their grandparents or aunts and uncles or even friends of their parents or whatever, and they did an amazing job with them. And sometimes it's even better because they are aware of the environment that they took them away in. If that environment was hostile or toxic, they're aware of that environment. They took them away, and sometimes if they're emotionally intelligent enough, they recognize that and they say, I need to give this child love because of the damage that they've been through. But yeah, Bemnet, we haven't heard anything from you.
We heard the beginning and that was it. What you doing hiding over there?
I'm not trying to hide on purpose. It's just you guys were talking about being raised by single parents, and I got lucky. I have both my parents. I still do, and they've been great. So I can't relate to that sense because I wasn't raised by a single parent. So I don't know what that feels like. I don't know how you guys grew up. I don't know how you guys dealt with any issues that you had growing up or even now. Like I understand kind of like whatever you like. Whenever you guys tell me things, I'm like, oh, okay, like I can process that, I can try to understand it, but I'm never gonna fully grasp it. Yeah, because I didn't experience it. It's not my experience.
I guess from your perspective, I guess I would ask, did either one of your parents receive more praise than the other for raising you and your brother?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from like what I'm thinking, it's more like my dad just got like the bare minimum of praise, which was nice, and my mom kind of got society's judgments, not even praise. Like it was just kind of like whenever they'd see me and my mom, or like me and my brother and my mom and my dad was like working or whatever, like it was constantly like, are you feeding them? Are you making sure they have this? Do you have that? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing it like that? Like she got criticized for a lot of things, and sometimes not even stuff related to me. Like she got criticized for stuff that was my dad's fault, and it was just kind of like I saw it growing up, but apparently it's been a far like longer like thing. I guess it's happened since I've been a kid till even now, and it's something that I didn't think was still happening now because I'm an adult, so why would it be happening? But it is. Whereas on my dad's side, he's always been praised for things, but he's never been criticized for anything, even if he was in the wrong, even if he did things correctly, but maybe didn't do it like as well as he should have, or whatever the case was. It was just always like, great job, Dad, you're doing everything right. Oh, there's a mom.
See, I think that's another thing too. Like, following along with what you said, Bemnet. Like, the whole thing of you're like the parent, like the father figure can do so many wrong things, and yet they'll still get praised for it. When like the woman does one thing wrong, or she thinks was right, but society thought it was wrong, and she gets bashed for it.
And the thing is, it's gonna happen all the time, no matter what it is, because society is two-faced. It's like, all right, well, you did this right, and then half the world is praising you and the other half is judging you for everything, and vice versa. If you did it a different way, it's kind of like this other half is going to praise you while this half is going to try to knock you down. Like,
it's definitely, it's something that's going to happen, and it's not going to stop for a while. But I do think that at least us, like this, how do I word this? Like just this generation or this new set of people, I feel like they're changing the what?
This new set of people.
I don't know. Okay,
new generation. That was good. That was fun.
Okay, so I feel like I feel like our generation, we're trying to change that because we're more open minded and we're I want to believe for the most part I want to believe that we're seeing both sides of the coin. But I do agree with what Bemnet said. Like, unfortunately, this is a thing that even happens till this day in my household. In my household, in my family, the women will always be held accountable for their kids, not the father. Yes. Because why? Because the father's working. Now, if the mom works, that's great. But it's the father that's always seen as the provider. So as long as he's doing that part, he's golden. Every time that something goes wrong with any one of the kids, they always go for the mother's throat. I'm speaking of experience. I've seen it at gatherings. My grandmother will go for my aunt's throat if my nephew is sick, if he's not covered up, if he's dirty. She will always go for her and not her son, who's just laying on the couch doing nothing. Why? Because he's a provider. Because he works. He's the one bringing in the money. And yet granted, she's not working, but at the same time, why can't this be an equal partnership? Why can't the father, instead of laying on the couch, also look for their kids' well-being? Like, why is it always on the mother?
I mean, I think it all just goes back to that old stereotype or that old nuclear family idea where the mother has to be the nurturer, the one that takes care of the household, the one that makes sure the house, the kids, or everything's okay. And then the father goes out and gets the money, like provides to the family, come in, So I think that's just, and like you said, as the more generations come up, we're slowly starting to kind of get rid of that ideal, especially with this economy where unless you're making really good money, and by really good money, I mean at least like 6 figures, you can't really provide for your household by yourself. Right. And even then, 6 figures working by yourself can still just be a modest living. So it's with both parents working and providing, we're slowly starting to kind of get rid of that old mentality especially the mentality of the women needs to stay home and cook and clean and feed the kids and make sure the kids' homework is done and all of that, and the father has to go out and make the money and go work and deal with that, then come home and he gets to eat dinner or whatever.
We're getting rid of that now, but it's still well alive in a lot of older generations. In my parents' case, my mom works, my dad works. My mom makes more than my dad, but I'm just saying. But it's still just kind of like, regardless of that, my mom is still expected to be home, cook, clean, take care of the kids, on top of having a full-time job, where my dad is only expected to just work.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
Yeah, granted, like, the household was never like that. Like, my parents were always like, we're going to split everything 50-50. So if you're tired, I'll cook and then you can clean, or vice versa. Or, we'll help each other cook and clean and all of that. And I'm so grateful that they were like that. Because, I mean, I turned out the way I was because of that. But I can't imagine living in a household where you are stuck in that norm, or that, that society, the way that society kind of pushes you into that little bubble sometimes, where it's like, men provide, women cook and clean. I'm like, I could never. I don't like that. So.
Or even just the whole, like, both parties work and then the woman still has to come home, cook, clean, provide, like, take care of the kids and everything, while the man just sits on his butt and does nothing. Like that, because I feel like that's something that hasn't gone away, and I don't know if it ever will, because it's one of those things where I've seen it a lot more frequently than a lot of just like 50-50. I've seen it in like a lot of households. I've heard my friends tell me about it. Like I've literally witnessed it in a few different households where I'm just like, like, I can't really say anything because it's like, that's, I mean, I can say something, but it's just word of mouth. Like you're going to do whatever it is you want to do. I'm just kind of expressing my opinion while you do that.
80-20.
Stop it.
I think it is something that's going to eventually go away.
Yes.
Like I've noticed as the generations go by, it's seeming more and more like kids like we're starting to get away from that ideal. Yes, there's still places and there's still people and there's still like groups of people in society and stuff like that will still hold on to that and believe that that's the right way to be. Which if you can sustain that kind of lifestyle and you find a partner that's willing to do that with you, and that's happy doing that, because I know there's plenty of women out there who still believe that yes, the woman should be in charge of the home and the man should go out there and work. And if that works for you, if you can sustain that lifestyle, both of you, more power to you. Like,
Ooh, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
like more power to you. Like it's definitely, it's not something that I would choose for myself, but if you can make that work and you feel comfortable and you feel happy in that, that's totally for you. That's totally great. I love that for you. But I just feel like as generations go by, we're slowly starting to move away from that, especially like I said, with the economy being the way it is and knowing that just a one income household isn't enough anymore. At least, like I said, unless you're making really good money, then we were that helped push everything along.
There's a lot. I do agree with Freddy. This will go away. Maybe not anytime soon, because we still have like the older generation drilling this into the new generation, and it's like a never-ending cycle. But I have seen lately that more women are speaking up on it being 50-50. More couples are going for this 50-50 partnership, which I think is a beautiful goal. Like Freddy said, if you want to go to the old white picket fence, old style family goal, cool, that's great for you. But I like the 50-50. Like, especially like if you're going to bring a human being into the world or adopt, I would want my significant other to tackle this together. I don't think it should be, you do it and then I'll go make the money. No, why can't we both make the money and both raise our kid? It's a partnership. Mm-hmm. Same thing when you are having a baby. It takes two people to have a baby. You can't just have a baby on your own. I mean, you could, but that's science and everything. But aside from that, but like it's something that if you guys have noticed, everyone's taken a notice of it. Like, have you guys not seen shows that they rarely portray that stay-at-home mom? Every show that I've seen now, both parents are working. Both parents are busy, and both parents are taking care of their child. If you look at sitcoms nowadays or movies, they're straying away from that whole the woman stays at home and the dad works. They're slowly but surely trying to make this change, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And also, like I've from having conversations with like the girls and many of my coworkers, they're like, I don't know if I want to have kids, or I don't know if I want to bring a kid into this world yet, because I have so much that I want to do with my life. And it's kind of sad, but it's something that nowadays, like it's a good thought to have, because some people don't want to have kids, or they don't want to bring kids in the world where they have to go through this, where they have to rely on their partner who doesn't want to put in his share or her share. So women are definitely taking notice, and some men are too. I think that me and Freddy just like discussing how hard it is to bring a kid into this world nowadays is a good step. It's like you're thinking about it before you do it, which I think is a good thing.
I definitely agree.
No, for sure. Absolutely.
I kind of like the idea of the whole, going 50-50 thing versus the whole one of us works, one of us stays home and takes care of the kids and cooks and cleans. I like that it's a choice, because some people are going to prefer one versus the other. Obviously, I don't want to stay home and cook and clean, but that doesn't mean that somebody somewhere doesn't want that, because what if they do? If they do, then more power to you. Go for it. But
even then, I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No, I mean, I was just going to say, like, I like that it's a choice. That's it.
Okay. I mean, yeah, and I said, and even with the whole like gender dynamic of like the woman stays home and the men go, we're even straying like far away from that, where the woman is going to work and some men are staying home with the kids and doing that, which is super cool, because I've been seeing a lot of videos and TikToks and stuff like that about like house husbands and how they spend time with their kids, and the wife is either like working from home or going to the office, and it's just a different perspective. It's really interesting to look at it that way.
# the way of the house husband.
The way of the house.
Yeah,
it was a great anime.
Oh God. And yeah, like going back to what we were discussing earlier, like a child needs both of his or her parents. So it's a partnership. So they don't just rely on their mom; they rely on their dad as well. Like they need both of them, or you know, like
or two parental figures.
Or two parental figures, yes. But I'm talking about like for like the whole stereotype of you stay home and I work, and now you're too tired from work to spend time with your kid. It's like no, they need both of their parents. They can't rely on one. They need to rely on both, in my opinion.
I still don't know if I completely agree with that. I mean, it's definitely nice and it's an advantage, and it's definitely lifts a big weight off of one of if it's a single mother or single father. Definitely lifts a big weight off of their shoulders if the other partner is there. But it's not like it's an absolutely necessary thing. A parent can provide all the financial and emotional aspects that a child needs, because sometimes two parents just isn't possible in the moment.
No. I'm talking about the fact that there is two parents involved. Oh, and one of them is just working, and they're too tired to spend time with their kids, so they rely on their other partner to handle that emotional.
Oh, so love. Basically just treating one of their partners as a nanny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I mean. I'm like, if you're gonna be in the picture, do both your part. Do your financial part, but also do the emotional part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, splitting up the housework is nice. Mm-hmm. Like, don't just expect one person to keep this house spotless all the time.
Because it won't be.
Right. And just know that, you still have to put in some effort into the household, whether that's mowing the lawn, taking out the trash, doing the dishes, doing some of the cooking, whatever the case may be. Because like with Bemnet, who hates washing dishes, she'd like to be with somebody who can tolerate washing dishes while she cleans the kitchen or something.
I have often said I will trade you any other chore. I would rather clean toilets than wash dishes. I don't know what it is. I don't like washing dishes.
It's because you get the mushy feeling in your hand and the soap and the suds.
Okay, can I just say that kind of bothers me? Just throw it away in the trash. If it's liquid, throw it, like, use a strainer, throw the pieces in the sink, make sure all the liquid's out, and then throw it in the trash. It's not hard. It's not hard.
Triggers.
But, I have another point to kind of add here.
Is it relevant to the topic?
It is, actually. So I guess this is just kind of my personal opinion. Like, I understand that it's not always going to be 50-50. Mm-hmm. I understand that some days it's harder for the other. So, I just, in my personal opinion, like, sometimes it's going to be 80-20. I know, it's funny.
It's a George Lopez reference if you are lost.
So sometimes it's going to be 80-20. Sometimes it's going to be 60-40. Like, it's not always going to be 50-50. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, one of them is going to have like a hard day at work, and one of the the other partner is like, oh, well, don't worry, I'll handle it. Like, it's okay. But just don't make it a habit.
Sometimes it might even be 0-100.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just don't make it a habit.
Yeah, sometimes.
And I'm fine with that. Don't, if one day I understand, like, you just don't have the energy, you want to come home, you just want to chill. Cool. Why not? Chill, I'll handle everything, and then maybe tomorrow, like, you'll be all set, all, energized, and, reset, and we're done. And then, we'll go back to 50-50, or maybe I'm not feeling the next day, so it's 0-100,
Yeah. I feel like a lot of that has to, like, also, like, if you're not feeling... if you're not even feeling 20%, like you said, if you're feeling 0% in your relationship, just communicate with your partner. Yeah. If you want to have like a signal or something, so you don't have to say anything, because sometimes words are hard. So to have like a signal, like a tip of the hat or something, or just like
Batman signal,
just let your partner know, hey, I'm sorry, I've had a rough day, or hey, my headspace isn't in this today, or hey, I'm just going through a lot right now. Can I not deal with anything today, please? And if you have a partner that understands, if you have a partner that truly cares about you, they'll say, absolutely, of course, just let me know if you need anything. Because we're human. We can't be at 100% all the time.
And communication is important.
Yes. Yeah, and oftentimes, and especially communicate with your kids.
Yes.
Like if you aren't feeling 100%, like you can't, like your kid desperately wants to play with you or something. Like, hey, I want to play, and you just not feeling it. If you're strong enough to muster and just like fake it for a little bit, that's great for the kid. But at the same time, if you're not feeling it, you can't, like, you physically feel like you cannot, let them know, hey, I'm sorry, little buddy, I can't today. It's like your mom or your dad or the other person,
the other parent,
will, they can play with you right now, but it's like I can't right now. It's like, I love you though.
Usually if they're kids, they're like, okay. Sometimes you'll see that they'll get in their feels, and then but then that's the same thing. Like, you just communicate with them, just make sure that they understand that right now, no, but I promise you I'm not making this a habit. Like, I'm gonna we can go to the park one day, maybe we can go do this another day, just right now I can't.
Yeah, a hug and an I love you can do so much.
Oh yes. I'm sorry, what were you gonna say, Bemnet?
Sorry,
Freddy, did I cut you off?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead, Bemnet.
No, I was gonna kind of just like adding to that, like, it's great. Sometimes the parent can't do anything though, because they're zero for that day because of a specific reason. Yeah. And I'm just kind of thinking on my own experiences. Like, I think I was 11, 12-ish. I was in middle school. I don't know. My mom ended up needing surgery for something, and I was at an age where I was able to understand, like, okay, mom's not going to be able to do anything. She can't work, she can't cook, clean, nothing. Like, she's going to be at home in bed just trying to, like, feel better, My brother is 5 years younger than me, so I'm sure he understood at that time. He had to have been like 6, 7-ish years old, so he kind of knew, but at the same time, he's always been a mama's girl, or mama's boy, I guess. Mm-hmm. So he would have always wanted to, like, be around her or just kind of be, like, within the same room. So that day, like, that couple days, I'm sure that would have been, like, hard. But it was also helpful that my dad kind of sat us down and was like, your mom needs time to rest. She's going to be tired. She needs to just kind of have a day or two where we need to be quiet. It's got to be like a quiet household. So, try to make things easier for your mom. And that's where the communication part comes in, because my dad had to step up and basically do everything the next couple of days on top of, like, working, cooking, cleaning. Obviously, I was a little older. I was able to help with some of that. But he also had to take care of my mom, who was kind of bedridden for a day or two. So it was like those couple of days, that's an obvious 0 or 100, 0, 100, like, split, I guess.
Of course. Mm-hmm. Leave your mother alone.
I mean, my dad is a saint, a pacifist. He was kind of like, leave your mother alone, please.
You just have to have that please in there.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, like, it helps that you're able to communicate that to your kids so that they're aware. Obviously, they might kind of be fussy, or they might be sad about it, but they'll understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kids are a lot smarter than we give them.
Oh yes, definitely.
If you talk to them like they're a person, like they talk to them like they're a little person, they'll understand. Mm-hmm. Like you said, they might be a little fussy. They might start, they might make a little fight out of it or something, but they get it, especially if they're old enough to start speaking already.
Definitely.
Like, they get it. They understand. They're very emotionally intelligent creatures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely.
Creatures. No, but they're very emotionally intelligent. Like, how do you, especially, like, even when they're babies, like, they know that to cry will get your attention. They know when to cry. They know how to cry. They know to get your attention.
They're
like
little bastards.
Sometimes they cry not for a reason, but just because they want your attention, and and they know how to do it. Like, babies are emotionally intelligent. Like, it's nuts.
Babies.
Well, they're like a sponge. Like, this is the little phrase that I've heard all the time. They're like a sponge. They absorb everything they see, they hear, like, literally everything. Because then they get older and they start cussing, and it's like, where'd they get this? And it's like,
Probably
you say
Brian.
it all the time. Probably from Brian.
Probably from Brian.
Well, I think as always we have steered way out of the topic.
Kind of, but not really.
No.
But I will say that now that I've had time to think while you guys were, like, talking about your other stuff.
Yeah, you were really quiet.
Yeah, which is a weird for Brian.
Wow. So at least in my perspective, like, if someone comes and tells me, oh my God, this man has been working nonstop for his family, I mean, I'd be like, okay, cool. Like, I mean, good for him. I don't think I would praise him. I think I praise fathers or mothers more when I see how loving they are to their kids. I don't know why. I think to me that deserves more praise than them working their ass off. And again, no offense to the parents that do work their asses off, like great to you. But when I see it, and I have seen it firsthand because I've worked in places where parents bring their kids all the time, and I see how loving they are. And just the other day, there was this guy that came to my job. He was going to work out, but he had his daughter with him. Granted, she's not allowed to be in the gym area because she could get hurt. So you have to be 18 and up to use the gym. And he was like, "Can she come in?" I'm like, "Unfortunately not. She has to stay here." She had a little switch with her. And we have like a little chair, and the way he spoke to her was so cute. He like got on one knee and he's like, "Sweetie, I'm gonna work out. Would you mind staying in the chair while Daddy finishes? Just please promise me that you're not gonna move from the chair." And she was like, "No, Daddy, I promise." And then he's like, we offer our gym guests waters, of course, as working out. And he's like, "Would you mind if I give her my water?" I'm like, "You can have as many waters as you want, sir." But the fact that he was more focused that she was comfortable because she was going to be sitting down for a couple of hours, not hours, but like maybe like 30 to 45 minutes. I don't know. To me, that got to me because I'm like, oh my God, like this man is to me, he's a good father because he's willing to talk to her as a person and explain to her, "Hey, I need to do something. Just wait for me here. I will be back." And the fact that this man was working out, but he would cut his workouts like every 5-10 minutes just to go see if she was okay. To me, that speaks volumes. To me, I will gladly praise this man more than the man that's just working and making sure his kids are financially stable. Granted, they both do deserve the praise, but in my eyes, in my opinion, I will praise this man more.
I think it just depends on what you mean by working their ass off. Because if you're doing an 8-hour shift at a job type of thing, yes, you're providing for your family, and I know that's rough because of most of your paycheck, if not all of it, is going to go towards maintaining your kids, your household, and doing that. You're honestly probably not gonna have any of that to enjoy for yourself. You might be lucky and be able to save a little bit, maybe for like a family vacation down the line or something. But if you are one of those people that's working like crazy hours, or you're working multiple jobs to try just to support your household financially, it sucks because that does take a toll on your kids. Mm-hmm. But in all honesty, when you see that as a child growing up, because my dad worked a job and then he did another job on the side, like a side hustle, and we rarely got to see him, if we're being honest. So I would recognize that, so I know not to be hard on him. Mm-hmm. I know when we went to the store, I know I should try to pinch my pennies as much as I can. Yes, I'm a kid, so I always wanted like a card set, or I wanted a toy or something, or I wanted like a book, or I wanted a CD or something, but I wouldn't make a habit out of it.
No.
So it's your kids can see that, and your kids can recognize that oh my gosh, this parent is working their butt off to provide for me. I guess it just kind of depends, because some kids would think of that as emotional neglect, and I kind of like, I was emotionally neglected a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, but at the same time I recognize that this man was working 2 jobs all the time. He always came home late. He was tired. He was exhausted. I need to do as little as possible to relieve that. At least stay out of his way. Yeah. At least just don't make a mess of the house. Try to make his, as a child, try to make his life as easy as I personally can, which is kind of the reason why I started working at 16.
Yeah.
I've started working at 16 just to relieve him a little bit.
Well, I think that also goes back to like children being so smart in like, when they pay attention to their parents, and they're paying attention to like what they do and how they do, and they know not to, like, every child is different, obviously, but like in our experience, it was kind of like, don't sit there and cause like a fuss. Don't cry in the middle of the store because you're not getting what you want. Yeah. Like, I mean, yeah, you can be upset about it for a little bit, but understand the situation at that moment, Yeah. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's the fact that the children understand, and they're a lot smarter than people think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Freddy here. Like, I mean, yeah, when you're working crazy hours, when you're working multiple jobs, I mean, it's so you can sustain a roof over your kid's household, you know, over your kid's head. So
And that deserves praise. Absolutely.
yeah, definitely. Just not too much. You know, I feel okay. I'm stuck on that. Okay, you can praise them. You know, just like praise them here. Don't go all the way the hell up here. You know?
Yeah, and everyone's different. I think that's what I love about the four of us. We all have differences of opinion because we see things differently. I think the reason why I gun towards more emotional than financial stability is because that's something that I was lacking. And I mean, you know, without going too much into detail, like, unfortunately, my mom remarried, and this man that she married, he was a complete asshole, and he got praised because he decided to take a woman with two kids that weren't his, and while he was working and providing financially, he was doing the bare minimum for me and my brother. He didn't want us. I mean, let's just speak the truth. Like, it is what it is. He did not want us. He just put up with us to be with my mother. Granted, they are no longer together. Thank God. But I think that's my issue. It's like he was praised by my family, by society, because he took us in and he provided financially, which is, you know, great. But at the same time, my mom was working too. They were both working. But whenever we needed something, my mom would buy it out of her money. He never offered to buy us anything because he didn't want us. So I think that's my trigger. Is like, this is what I'm talking about when I say, yes, you can praise someone from the outside looking in, but it's because you don't know what's going on behind the closed doors. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Behind closed doors, he could be a complete asshole, but just because society sees him as this provider, he gets praised. And I think that's my trigger. That's why I always say, with the man that I saw on my job, I saw the way he loves his daughter. I have no doubt in my mind that he loves her. Because he could have easily said, oh my God. Okay, we're going to try to make this quick because we just lost one of our lights. But we're still rolling. We're still rolling.
No, I know. I'm going to show you if this works.
Oh my goodness. Is that a little too bright?
Make it work. We're
gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work.
It's the best we got.
It's the best we got. Come on, Brian. Go on.
Time to wrap it up.
Yeah, time to wrap it up. Well, you know, going to Brian just real quick. Yeah, I mean, you never know what's on the inside. So, you know, because they can put up a front while they're with other people, but then behind closed doors, you just never know. So my thing is, once again, praise them here. Don't praise them all the way up here, because you just never know.
Well, how do you feel about all that, Bemnet? Like, do you value, as far as praise goes, do you value more emotional or financial responsibility to the parent?
Kind of both, but I'm more with Brian on this one. Like, I love the fact that, you know, you're able to provide for somebody financially and emotionally, but you take the time to make that emotional bond and actually make that moment stick out more than finances. Because like growing up, I was always more like, I was always closer with my mom, but that was only because there were moments where we would, because I was close to my mom, we would get into arguments and fights all the time. But then we would always kind of have this like little moment like after the fact. Sometimes it was like right after, sometimes it was like hours, days after, but we would kind of make up and my mom would say I'm sorry, or I would say I'm sorry, and we would just kind of like have that time to like understand why we argued and why we fought. And sometimes we didn't get that and we would still argue and fight, and you know, there have been multiple fights about the same thing, which is maddening. But other times it's just kind of like it's helped to get to know her better, and she'll say, well, this is something that happened in my life, and these are my experiences, and I don't share her experiences. Obviously, everyone has their own unique experience, but it was always something that I love to be able to, I guess, bond with my mom. So I value that emotional aspect way more, but I do think the financial does help a lot.
Did you feel like you were emotionally and financially, I guess, complete or satisfied? There we go. That's the word. Do you feel like you were emotionally and financially satisfied with both of your parents growing up? Because I know, as far as the emotional, I know it's a little complicated because I know your mom comes from a different generation and even even different culture. Well, not different culture from what we're experiencing here in the States. So did you feel like she like she fulfilled you emotionally, your emotional needs, and do you feel like she did the best that she could?
She did the best she could, for sure.
Okay.
But I mean, I think that's something that my mom's from a different generation, so there were things that we would just never see eye to eye on. Even to this day, we still don't. And it was just kind of one of those, like, I see where you're coming from, you see where I'm coming from. Let's just say we understand, but we agree to disagree. Okay. So there was a lot of times where we would just have to leave it at that, even now, and we're just never going to see eye to eye on some things.
Okay. But at least you have an understanding, like a general, like, this is you, this is me. I can still love you without seeing eye to eye. Of course. You know, as long as we don't try to strangle each other. Like, we're okay, we're good.
No, we haven't gotten there. Not yet, hopefully not ever.
Emotional damage.
All right, guys, let's wrap things up, because like I said, we already lost one of our lights.
We'll do better next time.
Yeah. We might make this a part 2, because I feel like we have more to say.
I know. Maybe we can make this into a part 2.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, for sure, I'm down. Once again, if you guys have anything to say on the subject, please comment below.
Yes, and we'll bring that up in the part 2.
Opinions, please. We'll do a part 2.
Yes, please. And let us know. Let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know if you agree with some of us. And if you don't agree, please explain why. As always, please be respectful of everyone else's opinions. We are not here to hurt feelings. We are not here to bash anyone. These are just our personal opinions on certain things. So again, no offense to anyone. Big shout out to the parents that are doing their best for their children. You guys are killing it.
You rock.
You are incredible.
Yes. And once again, thank you so much for joining us for the forum. We will see you all next week.
Check out the socials down below.
And comment what other stuff you want us to talk about, or that you want to hear about too, because we'll probably do it.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.